Hi, I'm Steve Adubato here at the WNET TIST studio in the heart of Lincoln Center. You see in our open, one of the people you see is, do you ever see our open? Maria, you're in it. Maria Bartiromo. She is one of the people. We had you from the previous network, and from a previous show, we have you back again. Maria Bartiromo, who is a star over at the Fox News Channel, the Fox Business Network as well. Every morning, people can see you 6 to 9. Where?
On the Fox Business Network.
Describe that show.
Well, the show is called Mornings with Maria, and it's a morning show about everything that's happening, but we try to give it an economic angle. So it's the, 3 hours, 6 to 9. When you wake up, we want to try to arm you with all the stories and the information you need as you're getting ready for work and as you walk out the door.
What about on the weekends?
The weekends, I'm on the Fox News Channel on a program called Sunday Morning Futures. And that, too, we're competing with the Sunday morning programs, and that's obviously a political slate of programs, but we give it an economic angle. So I feel like it's the only program on Sunday mornings that you're getting the political story, but you're also getting the economic story. So I'm feeling like it's where politics and business meets. That's Sunday Morning Futures on the Fox News Channel.
While Maria is a star over at Fox, we, the PBS family, have a connection to her as well. For those of us who participated in the special about Italian Americans in this region, in this country, you recognize that, in fact, it was Maria who anchored, narrated, hosted our special on Italian Americans. You love doing that, didn't you?
I do. I love doing it. What can I say? I'm a proud Italian American. And,
Real quick on your family.
My father...
Brooklyn?
My parents still live in Brooklyn. Grew up in Bay Ridge.
What part of Italy?
Well, my father's family is from Naples, and my mother's family is from Agrigento, Sicily.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
That's an interesting. Go ahead.
It's an interesting combination, and my father will say it's a completely different language, Sicilian. So they go at each other sometimes, my mother and father. But it's both areas are just terrific. They're very proud. They're my biggest fans.
Yeah, I'm same here on my end. Not about your parents, but mine. But that's not, hey, describe the move. How many years at CNBC?
I was at CNBC 20 years. 20 years. It was such a fantastic 20 years.
You were the first on the New York Stock Exchange, not just the first woman, the first to report from the floor.
Yes, exactly right. It was amazing. Look, it was, I had this unbelievably, really great front row seat of what was going on in business and the economy for 20 years at CNBC. And going down to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange was new to all involved. No one had ever done it on a regular basis. So when I first got down there, it was hard because there was certain factions on the floor that didn't want me there. But, I fought my way through, and I stayed there, and I loved it. And, being able to watch all of these things that have happened in business, from the empowerment of individual investors, when people were arming themselves with information because they thought that they could make their own financial decisions, to the globalization of the markets, to the dot-com boom and the dot-com bust, housing boom, housing bust, the debt crisis in Europe. And here we are today. So I've just really loved my time at CNBC, but I was ready to go.
It's interesting. You talk about ready to go, and we talked about our mutual friend, Bill Shine, over at the Fox News Channel.
He's terrific.
Well, it's interesting because people in the business. We also talk about Neil, our mutual friend.
Neil Shapiro is also great.
I should say my boss here at WNET, but we talked about connections and relationships. How important in the broadcasting media industry are relationships? Because you did make this move. And you made a big move to another place after 20 years at another place. How much of that had to do with trusting other people at another network you didn't know?
Well, you know what? I trusted Roger Ailes, and I did know Roger because Roger put me on the air at CNBC.
Because he was there at the time.
He was running CNBC at the time, so he put me on the air 20 plus years ago. And so when he came to me and said, I have a really great opportunity for you, help me build the Fox Business Network, and also I'll give you a program on the Sunday slate of programs on the Fox News Channel, it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. And the truth is, I really do trust Roger and I trust Bill. And that was partly why I made the move, because it is about people. And it's about...
And about trust.
Well, it's about trust, and it's about people, trusting those people. And so, I think we work so hard in this business, and I know you do too, and I do. And at the end of the day, you have to be happy with the people you're working with. And I just felt really good about going back to Roger.
Talk about where we are today, post-2008. I mean, that's a big part of your story, our story, everybody's story. Where we are today, this many years later, after everything that happened in 2008.
You know, it's interesting. I think that people became afraid of the stock market. Retail investors have really not gone back into the stock market in a big way. And that's unfortunate because the markets are once again at record highs. And if you're not in the stock market, you are, in fact, leaving a lot of money on the table, and you have not benefited from what we've seen over this whole 8-year period of quantitative easing and rock bottom low interest rates. So I think because it was such a hard hit for everybody in 2008 that you saw the value of your home go down, you saw the value of your 401k go down, people have not yet trusted again. And so the institutional players are there and they've benefited from what's gone on, but retail investors have not. On a broader economic scale, things have gotten better. So where are we in terms of the economy? Certainly we are looking at a better performance in terms of jobs, in terms of growth, but we should be a lot farther along at this point in the cycle. We had the GDP out the other day, and it was down 0.2%. I mean, you're still talking about a 2% grower in the U.S. economy, and you're still talking about a participation rate that is low in terms of people looking for jobs. So economy, we're, sort of struggling along. It's still the best house in a tough neighborhood around the world. The U.S. is still the best, but we still have some work to do there.
Maria, when a lot of folks point to the big banks, post-2008, and want to say they are the reason why we continue to suffer, they're the cause, you say?
I say it's misplaced. I say that, sure, the big banks made some big mistakes over the financial crisis, but I also think that there was a structure in place, there were regulators in place that were supposed to be overseeing things, supposed to be making sure that these banks did not take on excessive risk, and they were asleep at the wheel. So I think there is a lot of blame to go around. I think today what you have going on is this whole populist theory that still plays well with the population, and that is banks are evil, and the banks are the bad guys here. I think it is misplaced. I also think that at this point, we've seen a lot of regulation. You've got Dodd-Frank, and of course, a lot of stringent rules that come along with Dodd-Frank.
Excuse me for interrupting. Those who say, strip down Dodd-Frank, take it away. It is killing us. It is strangulating business, you say?
Well, I say that's right, because I think that the banks are seeing all of these new rules and all of these new costs that come with the rules, and as a result, they're sitting on cash.
But weren't those rules in place because of what many of the banks did in 2008?
Yes, absolutely. But you know how it happens when you have a bad situation, the pendulum swings too far, and that's once again what has happened. Take, for example, the fact that the financial services industry has completely changed, and Dodd-Frank alone is dictating balance sheets. Why is GE selling all of GE Capital? That's half of its earnings. Mighty GE selling GE Capital, half of its earnings. Why? Because they do not want to be designated systemically important or too big to fail. And so they're looked at as a bank, and as a result, that comes with this SIFI designation, systemically important financial institution, and it comes with a lot of new rules, a lot of new costs. GE said, I don't want to do it. I'm selling GE Capital so that I don't have to deal with being designated systemically important. It's dictating balance sheets. Banks have stopped lending in certain areas, and they are giving that business to private equity, to smaller regional
banks. And has what impact on the average consumer?
Well, the average consumer is getting impacted because they can't get a loan. Why do you think the housing market has had such failure in terms of gaining traction in this recovery? Just 3 seconds ago, we're finally seeing the housing market start showing some signs of life. It's been a long time. And the reason is because it's become incredibly impossible for anybody to get a mortgage.
Whereas we move into this 2016 presidential race, which we'll be covering on from different perspectives. Income inequality. People talk about equity, looking for fairness. CEO salaries being what they are, the great disparity between the haves and the have-nots. As a political issue, but a quote-unquote economic issue, legitimate issue?
Look, I think the way I like to talk about it is opportunity equality. Because income inequality, we don't really think everyone is going to make the same exact amount, right? You're not necessarily looking for income equality where everyone is making the same thing. People have different jobs. Jobs are different. Some people are working incredibly hard. Others aren't, and they don't want to. So you really want equal opportunity. You want to be able to know that everybody has the same opportunity. And I think that goes back to education. I think we are not educating our people with the right tools to actually thrive in this new economy. We're going to need 1 million new nurses and healthcare professionals in the next couple of years. Do we have that kind of training? We're going to need coding. We're going to need to understand how to write software. The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday. So yes, I think it's a real issue that we do not have opportunity equality. I think when you say income inequality, it plays. Again, it's one of those things that plays with the populace. But at the end of the day, are we really looking for everyone to make the same exact number? I don't think that's the goal. I think we want opportunity. And I think that really is needed. We need to ensure that our young people are being given the right opportunities to thrive in this new normal that we're all faced with.
I'm curious about this. You interview lots of folks in the world of business at the highest levels. Right? You have been doing this for a long time. And I'm curious about the question of leadership and how those people have seen it and how you ultimately see it, because you've been in lots of positions of leadership. What would you say the biggest lesson you've learned about leading is, being a leader?
I think leadership is tough. I think leadership...
Harder today than ever?
Yeah, it is, because the issues are harder than ever, and the issues are real, whether it be about where is the growth in the economy or leadership in terms of foreign policy. Leadership comes from understanding the situation, understanding the constituents, and taking a stand on something, getting in front, and in many cases, going against the tide, taking a stand on something when a lot of people around you are saying, wait a minute, is this the way to go? And looking for answers from you. Leadership is knowing the terrain and knowing where you're going and knowing how you're going to take your people there and communicating to your people how to get there. Leadership is critical in any economy and in any company and in any situation. Leadership is critical.
Are we lacking it big time?
I think we're lacking it in a number of places, actually. I mean, when you look at the country's foreign policy, I think that there is a lack of leadership because you've got these terrible things happening all around the world. When you look at the race relations in this country, somebody needs to bring us together. Somebody needs to lead to get us all on the same page. We are all the same. And why we're having such failures when it comes to race relations in this country is really sad.
On that very provocative and important note, tell everyone again where they can see you every morning.
Every morning, I'm on Mornings with Maria on the Fox Business Network from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern.
How about the weekends?
On Sunday morning, I'm on the Fox News Channel on Sunday Morning Futures, 10 a.m. live to 11 a.m., 10 to 11.
So when you watch One-on-One every night on public television, you see the beginning strip of some great folks. We're going to actually get a new clip in there from Maria with her new gig. Okay?
Okay, great.
You're always great to be with us.
Thank you so much. Good to see you, Steve.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're going to love who we have on right after this as well, even after Maria. That was great.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Wells Fargo, the New Jersey Education Association, NJIT, Barnabas Health, MagnaCare, New Jersey Sharing Network, and by the Mental Health Association in New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.